It's Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022. This Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Cowboy State Daily. Cowboy State Daily has more original Wyoming news content than any other news organization in the state. Cowboy State Daily, sign up for their daily newsletter and check them out on their Facebook page. Well, pleasant and warmer weather coming. We're going to see thunderstorms and showers down in the south. So really some nice weather coming, but down into New Mexico, parts of southern Colorado, parts of the desert southwest, rain and thunderstorm activity will be widespread in those areas today. Some of that moisture does work north tomorrow and into Friday. And then for the weekend, here we go. Another weekend, another cold front. This is the first official full weekend of summer. And here we are talking about another cold front. Does this mean that some long-range forecasts are in jeopardy for the summer? And I think the answer is yes, and we'll tell you why here in a moment. First of all, a nice photo here. This is the water vapor view of the atmosphere across the western United States. And you can see very well the higher humidity subtropical moisture right here surging northward out of the desert southwest. This is what we call the ring of fire, the showers and thunderstorms that form around the high that's in the southern plains right now. See this patch of blue over central California? Yes, folks, it's raining in parts of California today. We'll show you that here in a minute. Look at the deeper moisture here into New Mexico. This deeper moisture here going to produce a lot of rain in the southern Rockies today. This moisture right here is good, but it doesn't really have what we call as a triggering mechanism to get showers and thunderstorms going yet in the northern end of this shield. And then the orange and the red shows the drier, less humidity air. And if you look at the radar this morning, kind of a double take. This is the radar out of Los Angeles. Yes, thunderstorms in Los Angeles in June. Now that happens, not very frequently though. Another thunderstorm activity across parts of Southern California. So subtropical moisture getting pretty far west, so good for them. Not only is that bringing rain, but keeping temperatures in Southern California cool. Look at the radar out of Albuquerque this morning. You know, they were probably wondering if they were going to use the radar again in Albuquerque. Look at that rain shield. Santa Fe, Albuquerque, along sections of Interstate 40 and I-25, the best rain they've seen in months, moving into New Mexico here over the last several days, and there's more coming, and that's going to move into southern Colorado later today. Getting helped out, we've been talking about those sea surface temperature anomalies in the Gulf of California and the Gulf of Mexico. The sea surface temperatures have really gone up in the Gulf of California, so that's going to feed subtropical moisture northward with higher humidity air in place. So that monsoon in the desert southwest is really off to an early start, and there's more coming. As we take a look at today's 500 millibar chart, we've got that high in the southern plains, the clockwise flow bringing up that subtropical moisture. Here's the weekend cool front, but for the most part, warmer air getting drawn into the region. But by Saturday morning, that trough goes right along the U.S.-Canadian border and drags in a cold front. So what that's going to do is that's going to suppress the high a little bit, push it a little bit more to the south, and allow northwest winds aloft to move into the northern and central Rockies. That's going to cool us off, but the flow of moisture continues into the southwestern United States. By Saturday afternoon, look at the temperature anomaly. It warms up along the west coast. It's hot in the south and the east, but we're cooler than average in the Rockies and high plains with that cold front coming. So we're going to warm up. Then, again, we're going to cool off. As the front approaches and that subtropical moisture comes in, we do think that Friday, this is for Friday is going to be a busy day of shower and thunderstorm activity in the region. You can see maybe some more widespread or severe weather up there, and then a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity over Arizona, New Mexico, down into Mexico as well. As we get into Saturday, that cold front comes through and kind of suppresses the moisture a bit, but we're probably going to see some shower and thunderstorm activity in southern Wyoming and along the front range of Colorado. Look at southern Colorado and New Mexico again, and even back into Utah, even back into the Sierra Nevada, even some thunderstorms in southwestern parts of Oregon. The precipitation forecast through Tuesday morning shows a concentration of heavier rain in New Mexico and southern Colorado and southwest Kansas. Look at that. Look at those moisture forecast potential for far southern and southwest Colorado. So this is really, really good news. If we could get that to develop, that's going to pay dividends down the road as we go into the month of July. And one thing I want to highlight here is the long-range forecast. Now, there's been a lot of long-range forecasts, some of them quite dire, in terms of a hot, blistering, dry summer in a large part of the United States. And while there's still some support for that, the support's kind of eroding. And one reason this is what's called the Eastern Pacific Oscillation. A lot of times in this podcast, we tell you we live and die by what's going to happen in the Pacific Ocean. And what is going on in the North Pacific, and we've shown you these storms coming out of the Gulf of Alaska one after another. Well, the Eastern Pacific Oscillation is in a strong negative phase over the next 10 days. It goes to a positive phase, then it goes into a negative phase once again as we get into early July. Climatologically speaking, when you go into a negative phase of the Eastern Pacific Oscillation in late June and early July, that is a cooler than average signal for most of the central and western United States. And we're seeing this, we continue to see these fronts coming out of the North Pacific. And I know that's frustrating a lot of folks because we get wind with these. And while we're getting rain in some areas are missing on out. So this may really affect the long-range outlook. The National Weather Service put this out last week. Their updated long-range outlook for July, August, September has a pretty warm stretch of weather this summer in this area right here. But I'll tell you, if this Eastern Pacific Oscillation stays in the negative phase or goes negative at times, I do think this area right here, the northern half of this temperature forecast, I think is in jeopardy. They have also cooled off the Corn Belt and the Midwest. And with all the monsoonal moisture coming up over the desert Southwest, I think this is in jeopardy as well. So the long-range forecast, as you should always take with a long and deep grain of salt, for sure. Now, we'll see what happens. But this Eastern Pacific Oscillation, these colder than average sea surface temperatures up in the Gulf of Alaska and along the coast of British Columbia, kind of wreaking havoc with a lot of the long-range forecasts and plans for the summer season so far. So that's going to make the weather kind of fun to watch, as I think Mother Nature is going to be throwing us curveballs as we go to the end of June and as we stare down early July. Something we'll keep track of for you throughout the course of the summer season. Have yourself a good Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.